Hello everybody, this is Sean for TightPoker.com, and this is the first of a classroom style video that I've ever done. I wanted to do something a little different and not just go over hand histories and just talk about 25 no limit full ring theory. 25 no limit's really where I started. I didn't know about bankroll requirements, and I actually had 10 buy-ins, and I figured, well, that's plenty. And I guess in a way it was, because I was only one tabling, which to me is just ridiculous. But you really should have some good ideas about poker and know what you're doing when you jump into the 25 no limit games. Are they juicy? Absolutely. Can you win a lot of money? Absolutely. But is it a bunch of droolers just handing over the cash? No. So what I did is I put in some time playing 25 no limit full ring and put together this classroom style video that I hope you enjoy. It's I don't think it's groundbreaking, but there are some really good topics that I think even a 25 no limit regular would benefit by rehashing and looking over and thinking about, that I'll bring up at the course of this video. So hope you enjoy it. Again, if you want more, visit TightPoker.com. You'll get all the PartyPoker.com strategies there, and we've got a ton of great articles that you can enjoy. So let's get into it. So here we are. This is the sample size. I played 20,000 hands at 10 cent, 25 cent, no limit Texas Hold'em full ring, meaning 9 players. And as you can see from the graph, I did pretty well at the end of this 20,000 hand run. I won at 4.52 big bets per 100. Profited nicely for these stakes. And, you know, if I could only win like this at 200 no limit, right? So their games are juicy. There's a lot you can do to win, and a couple different styles that will benefit you greatly. But I didn't want to come off as someone who played 25 no limit 4 years ago and hasn't played since, and I play 100 no limit and 200 no limit and whatever, and you know, be on my high horse and just say, hey, no, I put in some hands here. And although 20,000 hands is certainly not a lot of hands in the greater scheme of things, it's an okay sample and something that I took and definitely learned a lot about what people at this level do. So I don't want to... One thing that I mean, I'll get back to a point that I didn't want to go back to my videos of the hand history reviews and say, well, at these stakes, and I don't quite know what these mean, this move means. And I was able to, you know, get over that hurdle by putting in some time and putting in some hours by playing a good sample size. And just to prove that I know what I'm doing, you know, that's a really solid win rate. So let's go on until I prove that I actually know what I'm talking about here. Some things to keep in mind. Bankroll, I put a minimum of 25 buy-ins. And if you've read Dusty Schmidt's book, he advocates that you have 100 buy-ins. And I think, you know, Dusty's made more money than I could ever even dream of playing poker. But for 25 no limit, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case for you. If you're, I assume if you're playing 25 no limit, you're not playing 15 tables like I was. You're going to be playing 4 or maybe 6 and learning how to multi-table. And if you're doing that, you're not as susceptible to the swings. So you don't need 100 buy-ins. I think that's just really excessive for these stakes because there's so much of an edge that you can have. So 25 is just, I mean, that's an arbitrary number. I would never play lower than 20 because that's dicey. But 25, 30, the idea is that you're comfortable, but 25 is just a number that I thought, yeah, you know, that's a really good number. Do not think that the players here are good at poker. They're not. If you're playing 5 no limit and 10 no limit, and you're thinking, ooh, there's this big jump to 25 no limit, and you know the reg's there, and blah blah blah. You're kidding yourself. You are absolutely kidding yourself. The regs, the best reg was terrible at poker. And I mean, I'll say I didn't play that many hands, 20,000, but from the 20,000 that I played, I really didn't see too many players that are worth their salt. A lot of guys that are just cutting their teeth and learning, which is where you have to be when you're playing at 25 no limit. And it's kind of a fun stake, I think, in my mind, because the money's actually like, you know, $25. You can actually do something with that. And then 50 no limit, the money gets real. At least it did for me. And then 100 no limit, you're actually playing with some decent money. But 25 it's not penny stakes where people are just throwing around their stacks. People are actually trying to play here. So I just want to convey that don't think that this is a big jump. If you're playing 10 no limit and you're moving to 25, it's not. The tag style will pay off. Just don't be a huge nit, and we'll get into some of the player types. If you play like a 8-5 style, our philosophies on poker will divulge, and if that's diverge. And if you think you're not going to benefit, just listen to what I have to say, and maybe alter your play, and maybe add a few things to your arsenal. But don't be afraid to mix it up, because a lot of these players play really, really bad post flop. Finally, things to keep in mind: use your resources. If you're not already, use Poker Tracker, use Hold'em Manager. They both have small stakes edition aimed at players playing these stakes. You don't have to pay the $89 or $100, whatever it is now, to buy one of these programs. You can buy them for the small stakes. They both import hands at 25 no limit, and you don't have to pay the excessive fee. It's at a discounted rate. I think it's $40, $50. No brainer. You should be using that. Secondly, you should be using Table Ninja or something to that equivalent, a program that assists you in, I'll tread lightly here, bet sizing, as well as mainly clicking that time bank for you automatically and highlighting tables. Those are the two main things. I'm not such a big fan of Table Ninja automatically doing bet sizing for you. It's something that you should be doing on your own, on every hand, on every street. But if you just need a general gauge, Table Ninja can be there to help you. That's the one I use. I'm not advocating one over the other, but you should be using one of those programs. Finally, using your resources means no distractions. You should be turning off that cell phone. You should, if you listen to music, listen to something that will actively stimulate your mind while not distracting it. Something like, good classical music or something in the background. Otherwise, try not listening to music at all. Make sure your dogs aren't barking. Make sure nobody's going to be heading over. There's not a fraternity party in the living room. These are not good places to be playing poker if that's going to be the case. You want to be really focused on what's going on at the table and really thinking through every hand. I know thinking is hard, but thinking poker will be winning poker for you, and that will be one of the advantages you will have over your competition, who will tend to play in terrible environments or not take the game seriously, and that's a recipe for disaster. And that's going to be one of your edges, an intangible edge that you're going to bring to the table. So we're going to get into the player types. And one player type I found, I just called the idiot. You might call him the fish, whatever. It doesn't matter what you want to call him. I just call him an idiot because that's what he is. So you'll see that the VPIP and PFR stats are something like 45, where he's limping a lot pre-flop and just trying to... the mindset of this guy is, I'll just limp in and outplay guys post-flop, or I'll just hit a big hand and shove all in, because they heard Daniel Negreanu say that one time, and it was completely taken out of context because Daniel would never play that way. This guy's calling any pocket pair, any ace, suited or otherwise, any suited king, all Broadway combinations, and 87 suited for suited connectors and better, meaning 9-10, Jack Queen, etc., etc. And let me bring up Poker Stove so you can see what that means. So here's a 40% range. As you see, all pocket pairs are included. 98 offsuit and better. 87 suited and better. Some really weird hands like 10-7, Jack-7 suited. Any ace, any king. And just generally just a way too wide a range for their own good. So when a player like this makes a raise, you should pay attention, because 5% is a pretty narrow range to be raising. They're going to be raising with their premium hands and calling with just about everything else. And you want to be careful with this guy. If let's say you've got pocket jacks and he's in the big blind and he calls, or let's say he limp called. I'll change things around. You've got jacks on the button. He limps. You raise. He calls, and the flop comes ace king 3. Well, a lot of people would say, well, of course, he hit that flop. And if we look at his range, it proves that. So you need to be careful with certain flops and playing with certain ranges. I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but just something to think about. Start thinking about, what is this guy's range? Does this perfectly fit the story of what this guy's trying to do? And we can move forward. And we're at the 10-minute mark, so I know a lot of people watch these videos on YouTube. We'll go ahead and move on to the next video. If you're on PokerTube.com, we'll just wait a second here, and we'll be moving on to the next half of this video.